forgetting what we speak of the music is ringing. We're all flames in the fire that keeps burning.
The red car sits idling on a narrow, dirt path carved into the side of a darkened mountain. Shadows from the dense forest spill over the roof as the man inside marvels at the situation. He speaks with a tone of smug satisfaction, remarking that she is already doing so much for him just to start the night. Inside the cramped confines of the front seat, Ha-Rin leans over him, her red hair cascading down as she performs her role with practiced ease. She whispers a lie against his skin, telling him that she truly likes him. The man is completely oblivious to the coldness in her eyes, lost in the hollow intimacy of the moment. The man's head falls back against the headrest, his eyes glazed with a mixture of lust and arrogance. He groans in approval, praising her and telling her that she is incredibly talented at what she does. He is fully ensnared, his guard dropped entirely by the physical distraction she provides. Ha-Rin shifts her weight, her movements fluid and calculated. She looks up at him and suggests that they should truly begin the evening, asking if they should start slowly. The man, emboldened by the suggestion, grips her firmly and boasts that in this position, he might even be able to go for multiple rounds. Breaking the rhythm for a moment, Ha-Rin pulls back slightly and gestures toward the cramped space. She suggests that the front is too crowded and that they should move their activities to the back seat instead. The man is impressed by her initiative, laughing and telling her that she not only has a stunning appearance, but a great sense for how to handle these situations. The man steps out of the car into the cool night air, unbuckling his belt with hurried, clumsy fingers. He is so focused on his own anticipation that he doesn't notice the silence of the woods around them. He leans back into the open door of the rear passenger side, his face twisted in a predatory grin as he prepares to rejoin her. Ha-Rin waits for him in the darkness of the back seat, her body positioned to draw him in further. She looks at him with a gaze that seems inviting, but holds a hidden, razor-sharp edge. She tells him to do whatever he wants with her, a final invitation that seals his fate. The man enters the back of the vehicle, the springs groaning under the sudden movement. He is overwhelmed by the situation, exclaiming that the experience is incredible. He looks at her with wide, manic eyes and tells her that it feels as though they are filming an adult movie, completely disconnected from the reality of the danger he is in. He presses close to her, his breath heavy and entitled. He mumbles about how sweet she smells, his hands wandering without restraint. He continues to speak to her in a degrading, overfamiliar manner, asking if she isn't perhaps a bit too experienced or naughty for someone like her. Ha-Rin looks up at him from beneath her bangs, her face flushed but her mind perfectly still. She asks him if he has a problem with the way she is behaving. He quickly dismisses the idea, leaning down to tell her that he actually loves exactly how she's acting. As the man reaches the height of his distraction, he gasps that he can't take much more. Behind his back, Ha-Rin's hand moves with surgical precision. She reaches into the shadows and produces a small, gleaming syringe filled with a dark liquid. Her expression remains a mask of artificial pleasure. The car rocks rhythmically on its suspension in the middle of the clearing. The man's voice carries out into the trees, where he shouts about how he has always fantasized about being with someone in the open air like this. He admits he never expected to find someone as glamorous as her to fulfill his desires. Ha-Rin lets out a sharp, forced cry, playing her part to perfection to keep his focus entirely on her. The man is emboldened by her reaction, commanding her to hold him tighter and to keep doing exactly what she is doing. He is a man who believes he is in total control of his environment. He leans down, his face inches from hers, his eyes dark with intensity. He tells her that the things she is saying are enough to drive any man to the brink of insanity. Ha-Rin continues to provide the verbal cues he wants to hear, urging him on while she waits for the perfect opening strike. The man is nearing his limit, panting heavily and asking her where he should finish. While he is lost in his own ego, her thumb presses down on the plunger of the syringe, the needle poised just inches from the exposed skin of his neck. With a swift, practice motion, Ha-Rin plunges the needle into the side of his neck. There's a small, sharp sound as the metal pierces his skin. The man's eyes go wide, a sudden no, escaping his lips as a look of profound confusion washes over his face. The man's strength vanishes instantly as the sedative hits his bloodstream. Ha-Rin leans in close to his ear, her voice dropping the act and becoming cold and hollow. She commands him to go to sleep, her eyes watching with clinical detachment as the light leaves his gaze. The struggle ends in an instant. The man's heavy body slumps forward as he falls into a deep, drug-induced coma. She sits there for a moment in the silence of the car, the only sound the ticking of the cooling engine. The man's face pressed against the seat, saliva pooling at the corner of his mouth, his dignity completely gone. Ha-Rin looks at him with the expression of pure, unadulterated boredom. The mask she wore earlier has been discarded, leaving behind only the predator. Ha-Rin emerges from the car, adjusting her clothing as she looks out over the dark valley. She mutters to herself about what a pathetic individual he was, calling him a person who couldn't even control his own basic impulses. The car stands as a silent witness to the abduction. Ha-Rin begins the grueling work of moving the unconscious man. She heaves his dead weight, her face straining with the effort. As she drags him toward the edge of the seat to reposition him, the man's smartphone slides out of his pocket. It hits the ground with a soft thud, unnoticed by Ha-Rin in her state of exhaustion. She collapses back into the driver's seat, letting out a long, weary sigh. Sweat beads on her forehead as she takes a moment to recover from the physical exertion. She looks at her own phone, her mind already moving on to the next phase of the operation. Her fingers tap out a cold, coded message to her partner, Soon-Hee. She informs her that she is currently washing one pig and instructs her to prepare the necessary tools. The casual nature of the text contrasts sharply with the horror of the situation. Ha-Rin puts the car in gear and speeds away from the clearing. The red taillights fade into the distance, leaving the scene empty. On the ground, the victim's phone lies abandoned in the dirt, its screen dark, a single piece of evidence left behind in the darkness. The scene shifts to a damp, concrete basement. The sound of rushing water fills the room as a figure in red rubber gloves sprays down the floor with a high-pressure hose. Soon-Hee is humming a cheerful, repetitive tune to herself, cleaning away the remnants of the previous guest as if she were merely tidying a kitchen. Soon-Hee stops her work for a moment, wiping a stray lock of hair from her forehead. She lets out a satisfied breath and wonders aloud what kind of pig Ha-Rin is bringing her this time. Her eyes sparkle with a disturbing, childlike curiosity. She looks toward the entrance of the small, dilapidated brick hut that serves as their slaughterhouse. She tells herself that she needs to finish cleaning up quickly so that everything is ready for the arrival of their new guest. The exterior of the building looks like a harmless shed, hiding the nightmare within. Ha-Rin arrives at the property under the cover of night. She has loaded the unconscious man into a heavy-duty wheelbarrow and is navigating the uneven ground toward the shed. The rhythmic creak of the wheel is the only sound in the yard. The man's bare feet dangle over the edge of the metal wheelbarrow, bouncing limply with every bump in the path. The imagery is dehumanizing, treating the man as nothing more than livestock being transported for processing. Inside the hut, Soon-Hee looks up as she hears the approach. She notes with a smile that it looks like Ha-Rin has finally arrived with the cargo. The man is now in the basement, stripped of his clothing and his pride. He is bound tightly to a sturdy wooden chair, his wrists and ankles secured with heavy cord. He sits in the center of a single pool of light, surrounded by the oppressive darkness of the cellar. Soon-Hee leans in close to the man's face, noting that Ha-Rin seems to have caught this one while he was in a particularly pathetic state. Ha-Rin stands in the shadows, dismissively stating that all men of his kind are exactly the same. She tells Soon-Hee to head back up to the main hut for now. Ha-Rin tells her partner to do everything in moderation and promises she will join her shortly. As she speaks, she reaches for a tray of tools. She selects a sharp, thin scalpel, the blade catching the dim light. Her expression is calm, almost peaceful, as she prepares to begin her sculpture. The man's eyes suddenly snap open. The sedative has worn off just enough for him to realize where he is. He stares in absolute, paralyzed terror as Ha-Rin looms over him. Before he can even attempt to scream through the thick tape covering his mouth, she reaches down and drives the scalpel deep into the back of his heel. The man's head snaps back, his muffled cries of agony echoing off the concrete walls. His eyes are blown wide, filled with tears and the sudden realization of his fate. A thick stream of blood gushes down from the severed tendon, coating the floor that Soon-Hee had just finished cleaning. Ha-Rin watches the blood flow with the cold, observant eye of an artist.
Mira.